Hello everyone and welcome to Burnt Toaster Productions. I'm your host, Burnt Toaster. Today's run is pretty basic, but one I personally haven't done before. And since I had thought about it for a bit, I decided to do it. Mostly because I get to leave the comfort of my usual playstyle. Anyway, time for the rules. The biggest, most important rule is that I can't take health damage. If I do take health damage, I must restart from the last saved checkpoint. I'll be able to use any means necessary besides glitches or exploits. Mana and health augmentations will be barred. Legendary weapons are also barred. I only have 3 attempts to complete the main quests, including the Lost Chapters portion. If I fail 3 times, then I'll consider it a loss. To make things a bit easier on me and you, the viewer, I'll be taking the Without a Scratch boast on any quest that gives me the ability to boast. I do have an idea for a possibly harder version of this run that I may do at a later time, so tell me down in the comments section if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Now, let's get into the run, shall we? For the most part, the beginning of the game was pretty much the usual. I got as much gold as possible this time around before buying the box of chocolates for Teresa. I give her the gift, and in return, the universe repays me by having bandits burn my home down. Oh, and they eliminated my father. With such events going on, Maze finds me in Oakvale and takes me to the guild. I go through my very basic bit of training and then the guildmaster gives me the task of exterminating 10 beetles, during which I had my first restart because a beetle bit me. Going to be perfectly honest, I was expecting to last longer than 9 minutes into the run before my first restart. Oh well. I restart and wipe out the beetles without messing up this time. Some time passes and it's time for more advanced training, which involves me beating Whisper in a sparring match, going through the basic bit of archery, then becoming a menace, and finally will training where I struck a dummy then shocked the nearby demon door. With that done, I wanted to get graded, so I sparred with Whisper again, and she hit me, which made me take health damage. Well played, Whisper. Well played. That means I had to go through the training for melee, archery, and will again. While it's a bit of a gamble, I wanted to test my luck again and get my melee performance graded. This time around, I actually succeeded and got through it, gaining my prize. I also get graded on my archery and will. After being graded, I head into the woods with Whisper to gain a bit of skill XP. For once, melee is taking a back seat. The main idea is simply reducing the risk of getting hit, especially early on in the game due to a lack of access to a certain spell. After ridding the woods of 3 bandits, I take on a job as an exterminator. All I have to say is money. With the sparrow successfully exterminated, I head over to the guildmaster and move on to my final test, completing it with little effort. As for what I level up first, I chose speed. Speed is pretty important for ranged weapons, as their one downside is how long a high damaging shot takes to charge up. Now it's time for me to take down the Wasp Queen and her brood. Since I know I'll be doing enough damage, the plan is to simply sit back and pick them off from afar. Of course, if absolutely needed, I'll resort to melee. A bit risky, but nothing I can't manage as far as wasps go. Once the initial group is dealt with, I have the queen to fight. She's not really tough, considering her one way of attacking is hard countered by putting some distance between us. 4 shots later, the battle is over. 3 villagers run in and cheer for me. I then decided to use them as target practice. Afterwards, I head back to the guild and get the single spell you'll need if you want this run to be relatively painless, that being Physical Shield. I was tempted to forgo it, but I know that would mean many more restarts and there wouldn't be a guarantee that I'd get this video out in time. While I'm still here, I grab a level of accuracy as well. I then head to Bowerstone to sell some things and get my grubby mitts on new equipment. Shopping done, I meet Maze and run off to collect some silver keys. Since Physical Shield is best used when you have high mana, I wanted to grab a couple of Willmaster's elixirs. When I'm done with a bit of searching and archery practice, I go back to the guild to grab a key, and while there I chose to get another level of accuracy as well as a level of physique. After my leveling, I decided to go and attack Orchard Farm. A big reason behind it was simply more money. This is also the first quest where boasting is possible, so I take a few boasts to really boost my monetary gain, and keep an easier track of whether or not I take damage. At the farm, I clear out the first group of guards with relative ease, and since I'm working with a ranged weapon, I'm on guard duty while the boys grab the crates. Honestly, using a bow makes this quest a breeze. Before you know it, Whisper is dropping by to fight me again, and I obtained a flawless victory. She didn't stand a chance. Since the quest is complete and I didn't take damage, I head back to the guild and grab a couple levels of magic power, a level of speed, and a couple levels of guile. Now it's time to head to Darkwood, but before I leave, I decide to do some boasting. For this quest, I took on the Without a Scratch and Protect Trader's Boast. The journey through Greatwood was buttery smooth, especially Greatwood Gorge. Those bandits couldn't even touch me. The hobs over at Greatwood Caves are a little different, and that's mostly due to the fact that they have 2 magic users and the area is pretty small. I still get through without taking any health damage, so I'm not upset about it, likely due to the fact that by default I prioritize ranged enemies. Since it's right next door, I head into the Hob Caves and grab a Willmaster's Elixir. I then head back to the guild to level up archery, speed, magic power, and physique once more. Having finished preparations, it's time to get through this quest. Nothing really changes from my usual run-through. The only difference is I'm relying on a bow to keep myself out of harm's way. A single Balverine and a number of bandits didn't put up much of a fight. To be fair, I'm possibly a little overprepared for this quest, and it's about to get even more noticeable. At the trader camp, I decided to buy myself an ebony longbow. Since I'm an ever-conscious buyer, I wanted to test it out. To do so, I use the traders here as test dummies. Happy with my purchase, I press onward. It's not much to talk about since some bandits and hobs aren't exactly strong roadblocks. But speaking of roadblocks, I have to deal with the Earth Troll next. Yeah, it didn't really stand a chance. 4 or so shots to the face is all it took to defeat it. With that, the traders and I head to Barrow Fields, completing the quest without taking any damage. Since I got a handy little boost to my coin, I go to see Maze in Oakvale, go to the tavern to sleep, and then head to the smithy. I wanted to upgrade my melee weapon and settled on an obsidian longsword. Seeking further upgrades, I teleport back to the guild and level up. I got myself a level of speed. I sadly couldn't afford anything else worthwhile after that. Wanting a bit more and feeling a bit bored, I chose to do the Hob Killing Contest quest, naturally taking the Without a Scratch and Humble Whisper boasts. This one wasn't as seamless as I had envisioned, but to be fair, the easiest way to go through this quest is with the Slow Time spell. Still, I did pretty well for myself, not taking any damage and killing a whopping 30 hobs to Whisper's measly 4. My need to show Whisper up satiated, I go back to the guild to level up a bit more. I grabbed a level of physical shield and accuracy. Due to Maze letting me know Twinblade has a Seeress among his group of bandits, I make my way over there. The 3 bandits guarding the path to the camp were dealt with rather swiftly. The abandoned road, however, is a slightly different story. Some of the bandits here can take a decent bit of punishment, unless I pull off a headshot. Of course, in my haste to hunt them down like the dogs they are, I missed a piece of the outfit I needed. Going to be honest, I was having too much fun going for those headshots and simply skipped over it. Without any further delay, I put on the outfit and can enter the camp. But before that, I take out the gate guards, because why not? Which should also tell you what I plan to do. I eliminate any bandit I could see, plus a mercenary. Didn't like the way he looked at me. Moving on to the elite camp, I do the same thing. This time though, instead of a mercenary, I threw the assassins in there for fun. At least the gate to Twinblade's tent is open. Time to fight the big lug. Just to prove a point about the strength of bows, I fought him without using a melee weapon. Considering how long I can charge up a shot, it goes by moderately quickly. Of course, I can only really damage him when his swords are stuck in the ground, and I can only hit him once. Once I get him to low enough health, the cutscene with Teresa triggers and she blesses me with the power of Mountain Dew, then leaves me to make a decision regarding Twinblade and his boys. As usual, I wanted XP and now Albion has less bandits to deal with. With the quest finished, I leveled up a bit. I got 2 levels of physique, a level of guile, speed, guile again, physical shield, magic power, accuracy, and finally guile once more. Seeing as I still have some room to grow, I wanted to take on a couple of side quests that do allow for boasting. The ones I chose are Trader Massacre and Trader Rescue. First up is Trader Massacre, with the boasts, Without a Scratch, Keep Bandit Alive, and Timed Quest. Usually I have a slightly rough time with this quest simply because I get a little overconfident. This time around though, I had a pretty decent time. There was only one time that physical shield was even close to breaking, but I thankfully caught it before it got too low. Eventually I completed it with 1 minute and 4 seconds left on the clock. Considering I couldn't level anything up when I got back to the guild, I chose to buy myself a master longbow. I know I said no legendaries, which is mostly due to the fact that legendary weapons aren't super hard to get a hold of, and they tend to be pretty strong. Master weapons aren't really hard to acquire either, and due to their augmentation slots being empty, they can at least be comparable to a legendary weapon. But they cost a pretty penny, and roughly 3 to 4 stores actually have any available, most of which are in late game areas. Putting that aside, I head back to Twinblade's camp to complete the Trader Rescue quest. The hefty investment into the bow was a good idea, it seems, as it performs wonderfully. Regardless, I go through the quests as I normally do, eradicating every bandit I see, then collecting all of the traders. Done with my little bout of side questing, I return to the guild to level up. I can't really afford much, as I was able to get another level of magic power. Well, no time like the present to hear Maze's request and then search for the Archeologist. For the most part, this quest is pretty simple and straightforward. It's also one that doesn't allow for me to take any boasts. Then again, the only notable enemy here is the Rock Troll, and I immediately found a way to make it a rather uneventful fight. All I did was stand behind it and pelt the pile of rocks with arrows. The tactic was essentially stay in range for it to start the slam attack, back off a bit to safety, then rinse and repeat until it is no longer living. Although if you have slow time, you could just shoot it in the face and make the fight possibly quicker. Past the troll, all I have to do is hit 4 stones in the correct order to open up the demon door, housing the Archeologist. Shortly after finding the Archeologist, I go back to the guild to accept the White Balverine quest. The only reason I mention it is because I am able to take the without a scratch boast. Time to head to Knothole Glade. It's under attack by Balverines that don't really have a snowball's chance in hell to impede my progress. 1 shot is all it takes for the handful of standard ones outside the gate. When I'm properly inside the village, I have the mutt of the hour to contend with. It's pretty smooth all things considered due to my ranged capabilities. When I go to see the hunter's wife, I have to chase it off again by barely putting in any effort. The guy's wife hands me a silver augment, which I didn't really feel the need to use. I'll likely be doing enough damage to get through the actual fight. Once I've pelted it with arrows for a 3rd time, I'm finally able to go and deal with the beast. The actual fight itself wasn't really all that notable. I was able to do decent damage to the White Balverine and take out any friends it called in with a single arrow. This was probably the quickest I've defeated it and its lackeys. With the hunt being successful, I go back to Knothole Glade and the chief tells me I can go fight in the arena now. Having completed the quest, I go to the guild and check what I can level up. I had a choice between speed and magic power. I chose speed. To prepare for the arena, I wanted some more will potions. Due to physical shield being my first and last line of defense, I need to make sure I don't take damage. It'd be rather disappointing if I failed to run now. While in Oakvale, I decided to get a piercing augment for my bow. Afterwards, I go over to Knothole Glade. I was looking to get a new melee weapon, and since melee combat can be fairly dangerous, I settled on buying a master katana. I wanted a sharpening augment to go with either of my weapons, but sadly I ran out of funds. Without any further ado, it's time for me to make the most money I ever have out of the arena. I'll be taking the without a scratch and clean sweep boasts. Essentially getting an extra 12,000 gold is nothing to scoff at. Let's get it over with. Their first round is wasps, nothing of note really. They all take a single hit, and if they do get a hit on me, they're not doing a lot of damage to physical shield. The second round is a bit more involved as I need to target the magical hobs first, but other than that tiny barely registered threat, it's pretty easy to manage. Next, I have the Balverines to fight. Naturally, the standard Balverines take a shot or two, while the white Balverines take substantially more to defeat. Still, nothing I can't manage so far, and I get through the round with ease, even with 2 white Balverines aggroed onto me. In the 4th round, I blaze through the undead. They're too slow to really apply much pressure and aren't exactly the toughest enemies here. Most I needed to shoot a single target was in the ballpark of 3 to 4 times. The 5th round, things get a bit more interesting. Of course, the first wave was a joke, but throughout the round, all I needed to do was target the bandits with crossbows. If left unchecked, they could do some decent damage. In the later waves, I did start going for headshots, mostly to get through this faster. After I quickly dispatched those bandits with relative ease, it's time for the Earth Troll round. To say it was an easy and quick fight is a bit of an understatement. The first troll fell after 2 to 3 shots, and the remaining one only needed 4. The next round wasn't bad either. I just followed the same strategy I employed in Witchwood. This time with a bit of help since the other troll threw rocks at my target. Then it was just a matter of me trying to have fun and get some hits on the last troll's face. I got one at least, so I was pretty content. Now's the time for the final round with Arachnox. It's not really all that bad. The only time physical shield soaked up damage was when I got a little too careless and stuck around while the giant scorpion was charging. This was another pretty easy round. All I had to do was simply keep my distance and continuously fire arrows until the scorpion stopped moving. The next fight against Whisper did slightly hobble me because she kept blocking my arrows, which meant I had to switch to melee. Still, it's far from difficult. After Whisper has breathed her last, I have bested the arena. I did forget to show the end screen for the quest as I was impatient, but to show that I'm a man of my word, I went into the stats to show I haven't failed a boast yet. I got a lot of money from that quest, so I made a little stop at Knothole Glade and bought a sharpening augment for my bow. Happy with my purchase, I decided to level up. I got another level of magic power, accuracy, the last level for speed, and a level of guile. I wanted a bit more money and XP, so I took on the Break the Siege quest with the Without a Scratch, solo mission, and kill leader boasts. It took a little longer than anticipated due to the bandits repeatedly rushing in, but I made sure none of them got in too far and eventually broke the siege. I then returned to the guild and checked what I can level up. I chose to go for a level of physique. Since I haven't done so yet, I visit Teresa, who tells me to find the Archeologist so I can find my mother. Before I go and pull the Archeologist out of the fire, I wanted to grab a couple of more Willmaster's elixirs. One from the Barrowfield's Demon Door and the other from the cellar of the Old Grey House. Now that I have acquired the elixirs and downed them, I can go get the bow set up. Continuing onward, I get to see how well I'll fare against the minions. So far, so good. I opened the chest near the bridge that contained a piercing augment and slapped it on my sword. After that, it's just a lot of firing arrows at the mechanical fiends. 3 shots for the standards and about 4 or so for the Dreadwings. Just like Balverines and the Wasp Queen, these guys are hard countered by ranged attacks. Well, for the most part. Moving on, I came across the rock troll and got rid of it pretty quickly. Since that was the only enemy of note, I head to the dock and do what I normally do. Rush it to gather all the enemies in one spot, then let the arrows fly. I actually got it done rather hastily too, with about 3 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. The Archeologist points me in the direction of Lychfield Graveyard. However, before I go much further, I wanted to get the last level of physical shield, which I needed to be virtuous for. So I went around, donated to the Temple of Avo, fought some enemies, completed the Execution Tree and Darkwood Disturbance quests without taking damage. Naturally, all of that wasn't enough, so I put my plans on hold for now and instead level up magic power, accuracy, and guile to max. Then added a level to physique. Getting through Lychfield isn't hard, slightly annoying because the undead are trying to rip my ankles apart like angry chihuahuas, but I gathered all of Nausher's gear before I even talked to him, so it was a lot quicker this time around. The path to the Circle of the Dead is pretty much the same as always, in other words, pretty easy. To be honest, there's only so much to provide commentary on when the undead aren't really a threat. The Circle of Dead is very much the same story, nothing threatening. At least the way to Bargate is open now. Time to head on through. Because the undead aren't even a blip on my radar, I blast past them with ease. Things do get a teeny tiny bit interesting with the guards in Bargate, but that's because they have crossbows. Still, they're nothing to write home about. 3 shots is about all it takes to stop them permanently. Anyway, I find my mother, free her from her cell, take out some guards, and then get caught by Jack. At least I don't have to worry about combat immediately. I got to race a couple of times instead. However, the reprieve is short-lived as I have to gather my stuff, fight my way to my mother, and get us out of here. There's not much to talk about, besides the fact that I was aiming for a guard and somehow shot a rat instead. Sorry, little fella. Regardless, the guards don't put up too much resistance and eventually we find ourselves at the Kraken fight. It was promptly deleted by force using my bow. Seriously, the poor thing is a gimmick. It didn't stand a chance. Honestly, I was a bit stunned by just how quickly I defeated it. Once we're out of prison, my mother tells me to investigate the ancient Coloscate in Darkwood to make my way to Hook Coast, and then grants me the power of the Mountain Dew God. Now that I'm free, I wanted to see if I could get physical shield to max. I was not able to, so I opted to max out physique and do the bounty hunt quest with the Without a Scratch, perform quickly, and behead leader boasts. Really, the bandits were capable of taking down physical shield if I wasn't quick or careful. But let's face it, at this point nothing can stand up to me. I get through the quest with relative ease, completing all of the boasts I had selected. Since I didn't have any interesting side quests now, I go and donate money to the Temple of Avo once more, then head to the guild with my fingers crossed. I can finally get physical shield to max level. On top of that, I also grabbed Assassin Rush and maxed it out. Even if I'm not using melee, it can still help me get away in a pinch. Well, no time like the present to slay more of the undead and activate that ancient Coloscate. As you'd likely expect, I thoroughly trounced them. Going through the Cullis Gate to Hook Coast, I was directed to find an old abbey. It's there, but with a barrier blocking the way in, so I have to return to the guild and witness my mother getting kidnapped again. Thankfully, before she was forcefully removed from my presence, she made sure to tell me to not forget a book. Without anything else to do, I take it to the guildmaster, who tells me to stand in front of the barrier as he recites something from the book. Well, alright. After the barrier has been dispelled, I get the pleasure of fighting Maze to the death. And like the last boss fight, he felt like a joke. Man, the combination of a bow and physical shield is overpowered. Although I did engage in melee combat a couple of times, still I utterly destroyed the old man. With him gone, all that's left for me to do is defeat Jack. Though before that, I have to try to stop him as he ping-pongs across Albion. As you all know, I'm too slow on the draw and have to fight him in the Chamber of Fate. Before I could actually damage the big man himself, I had to fight some minions. It's more of the same, honestly. They can't withstand my arrows for too long. Once they've been destroyed, Jack tries to fight me himself, and for most of his first phase, I was able to hit him pretty hard with some arrows, until he remembered he could block my shots. Then I had to resort to melee. His second phase was a super smooth fight as I took him down without even a wave of minions spawning in. And since the rules state that I can't use legendaries, I throw the sword away. The run's not over yet, and we're just now reaching the home stretch. I have to get through the lost chapters as well, which granted doesn't add much, but I don't do it super often on this channel. Anyway, I have to get the fire art, and the only way to do that is to solve puzzles. I'm generally not a puzzled type of person, as I tend to heavily overthink, especially with a timer ticking down. Let's hope Fortuna provides me with enough luck to get through it. Rather than try for a specific outcome, I just did whatever was easiest at that particular moment, and it saw me through the puzzles. Did have a couple of close calls, but hey, I'm still alive and still doing well. Now all I have to do is head back to Hook Coast and put the gem in the lighthouse. After doing so, I'll have to fight some summoners. These are the only enemies so far that will put a modicum of fear into me, since their ranged attack can do a sizable amount of damage. They also have backup in the form of minions, but thankfully I just have to target the summoners to progress the quest. All of this was to get a ride to the Northern Wastes because the Cullis Gates weren't active yet. When I'm on solid land again, I have an ice troll to fight. Somehow, by the grace of whatever higher power, I was able to get a headshot on my first hit without even trying to get one. I was honestly charging up for a big hit, but I'm not complaining. The troll fell shortly after since I got lucky and hit it in the face. In the next area, I did start getting a bit bored and bold, opting to use my sword to deal with some minions. Past that, I make it to the Archon Shrine, meet up with Briar Rose, and fish out a nearby Willmaster's elixir. Eventually, I meet up with Scythe and Snowspire, who tells me I'll need to awaken the Oracle, and the only way to do that is to get the Glyphs of Inquiry. It's an easy enough quest to do, just have to search a few graves and then go to the last spot at the end of the map. The only real complication I had was with the ice troll near the end. I came pretty close to having physical shield dispelled from too much damage. Soon after that really close call, it was felled. Then all I have to contend with is a couple of minions and summoners. As long as I stay cautious, this fight isn't going to end the run. After the last summoner explodes, I can collect the last glyph and head to Snowspire Village. The Oracle tells me I'll need to collect some souls using Jack's mask. The good thing is, all I need are 3. With nothing pulling my attention elsewhere, I get started on collecting those souls, starting with Thunder's. Let's just say Thunder is horrendously easy to cheese with a bow. I want to say it's a thing of beauty, but it's kind of sad, actually. Oh well. Next up, I chose to take Briar Rose's soul. I felt confident enough to wipe her smug attitude off the face of the world. It went pretty smoothly, all things considered. I was a bit worried about her Drain Life spell somehow penetrating physical shield, but I was worried for not. At least she put up more of a fight than Thunder. Now that Briar Rose is defeated, there is no one left to tell me what I need to do for the next one. Though Jack is a bro for once and tells me the answer. Since I haven't gotten enough combat yet, it's time to go back to the guild and pay a little visit to the guildmaster. The horde of guards protecting him are tough, but not tough enough. It takes a hot minute, but he's eventually left without anyone to help him. He tries to reason with me, but I just went through all of this effort and wish to claim my prize. It just so happens that the prize is his soul. Now that I have all the souls, I can go back to the shrine and fight Jack for the final time. The fight with Jack's dragon form is a bit anxiety-inducing. I have previous experience with how strong his attacks can be, and if he hits me, I'm almost certainly screwed. I just have to play it smart, get rid of any ads as soon as possible, and focus them down when there aren't any noticeable threats, such as summoners. Not going to lie, this fight took me almost 3 minutes to get through. It was that quick. Then again, I wasn't faffing about and wanted to get through this without failure. I just have one final choice to make. Considering Jack got his teeth punched in twice, I threw the mask away. The hero knew Jack would likely get hit somehow and ruin the legacy he made for himself. And now, the run is finished. Looking back at it now, having played through it and re-watching the footage, I should have probably played on Heroic to make this more of a challenge or put a stricter limit on equipment. But right now it's too late to go back and restart the entire thing, which is why I mentioned the possibility of a harder variant that could make it more interesting. Anyway, if you've made it this far, consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and telling me down in the comments if you'd like to see a different take on this run sometime down the road. Also, thank you all for over 500 subscribers. That's a little crazy for me to wrap my head around. I genuinely appreciate all of the support and kind words as well. They really do help keep me going. Thanks for watching the video. This has been Burnt Toaster from Burnt Toaster Productions, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.